Today on 9 News Mornings, the people working to stop fentanyl overdoses are changing the way they do it, now involving families who have lost loved ones to the drug. Today, a group representing Colorado's 22 district attorneys are meeting to change who gets to issue red flag orders, but not all DAs are on the same page with the idea. We are approaching the 1-year mark for the Marshall fire, and the cause is still unknown. Today, we learn when investigators might have an answer. 9 News Morning starts right now.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Corey here with Jordan, Erica, and Ed.
Oh my goodness, thank goodness it's Friday.
I know, truly.
Woo, this week has been a lot.
Yeah, and I think next week's probably going to be a lot too. The week before Christmas and Hanukkah's going on. So yeah, a lot happening here. And winter arrives. Yeah. It's not even here yet. Winter arrives on Wednesday. I know.
It's going to feel like it, huh?
Yeah.
It is going to feel like it on the day of winter. I'll show you that in just a moment. But yesterday, 31 degrees. I think today we see that cold air still around here. Then we start to see a little break just in time for the weekend. We'll get into the 40s for both Saturday and Sunday. So right now, partly cloudy skies. We've got 12 degrees at this hour. And you can see that big old storm system. That's the one that several days ago gave us the blizzard conditions out east that is slowly tracking into the upper Midwest. And as it does, still that counterclockwise flow, and you can see it. And still right on the edge of it, we'll see a few clouds just push across Denver. Not a big deal here. Maybe a snow shower for the high country. That's going to be about it. And then we see clearing skies by tonight. And then tomorrow, mostly clear skies. Here it is Saturday afternoon, border to border sunshine. That's pretty nice. So 31 degrees today, yet another cold one, but then 41 on Saturday. We jump it by 10 degrees, 42 on your Sunday, back in the 30s Monday and Tuesday. We keep the skies sunny, but here comes winter. It arrives at 2:48 in the afternoon, and we could see a little snow come along with it.
Ed, thank you so much. Right now, we want to show you what the commute looks like. Pretty quiet on your Friday morning. This is I-25 and 8th Avenue. No issues on either side of the interstate. Big picture, all green out here. Love to see it. But we do have that Loveland Pass closure yet again between I-70 and just a little bit before a basin there. So you'll just want to stick with I-70 through the high country. Both sides of 225 are in the green right now between I-25 and I-70. Northbound drive just under 10 minutes and no issues traveling into Commerce City at this hour.
Erica, thank you. This morning, a woman is in the hospital after a shooting in Wheat Ridge. Police say this happened last night on 38th near High Court. They say the woman was driving, may have cut another car off, and a person in that car then shot at the woman. She has serious injuries. Police are still looking for the suspect. They're looking for a black sedan. Anyone with information is asked to call Wheat Ridge Police.
Well, we hear about fentanyl overdoses every single day, unfortunately, and now the people working to stop them are trying to figure out what they need to do differently.
9 News reporter Courtney Yoon is in studio with us with this story. And Courtney, this week they heard from the families of people who've died from fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah, that's right. For the first time, the Drug Enforcement Administration hosted a summit that paired families who've lost someone to an overdose with the people working to stop them from happening.
We're focused on people at the top of the chain. We're trying to find the people who are making it and the people who are distributing it. That is where we are focused in the United States Attorney's Office.
The DEA is hosting meetings like this one around the country with the goal of finding out what they need to be doing differently to fight the fentanyl epidemic. The DEA says more than 107,000 people died from drug overdoses last year. 66% of those were because of fentanyl. Samuel Kelly was one of the people at the meeting with the DEA yesterday. He lost his 15-year-old nephew, Josiah, after he took a fentanyl-laced pill in May.
The more that we can speak and give voices to the people that no longer have those voices because it was taken from them through the actions that they did unknowingly, that's where the change happens.
During this meeting, they also covered things like what resources families need for someone struggling with addiction. If you know someone struggling with addiction and would like to get free testing strips and a naloxone sent to your home, the City of Denver is offering both for free. You can also visit stoptheclockcolorado.org.
And we know that naloxone can really be a powerful tool to have because, Courtney, we also know that experts say you can't hurt somebody by using it if you think they may need it and they didn't actually need that.
Absolutely better to have it on hand just in case rather than not have it at all, as it can save someone's life.
Yeah. And so many people do these days, so many businesses and schools are carrying it, so it's good that more people have it on board.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously something needs to change drastically because these numbers are scary. Courtney, thank you. Well, the mother of a Denver murder victim says the brother of a Denver murder victim says he is devastated that the man convicted of killing his sister will soon be released from prison. 17-year-old Jerome Perea was convicted of shooting and killing Yvonne Cochigo in front of her 2 young children back in 1993. Perea was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But then in 2012, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that juvenile murderers must be eligible for parole. So then in 2017, Perea was resentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. But then earlier this week, Yvonne's family was notified that the Colorado Parole Board and Governor Polis had granted Perea an early release.
I just can't believe they're releasing him, you know. It's in this severity of the situation, it's mind-boggling.
Now, in a written statement, a spokesperson for the parole board said Perea met the requirements to take part in the Juveniles Convicted as Adults program, which he successfully completed. That was a factor in him being granted early release.
Today, the group representing Colorado's 22 district attorneys meet to discuss a proposal that would allow them to seek red flag orders. As it stands, those are issued by judges, allowing guns to be taken from someone if there's strong evidence that person poses a danger to themselves or others. Kevin Vaughn from our 9 Wants to Know team found that different DAs, though, have different thoughts on this idea.
Grief was just beginning for the victims of the Club Q shooting in Colorado Springs when Governor Jared Polis called for expanding the state's 3-year-old red flag law.
We need to make sure that that's more available and easier.
Right now, the law lets loved ones and law enforcement seek a court order to remove guns from a dangerous person. Polis wants to extend that power to the top prosecutors in Colorado's 22 judicial districts.
I would certainly support the expansion of the statute to include district attorneys.
Boulder DA Michael Doherty, a Democrat, sees it as part of a larger effort to curb gun deaths.
And to me, it's just one step.
But it's not clear whether Doherty's colleagues will agree. At a press conference last week, we asked El Paso County DA Michael Allen, a Republican, what he thought of the proposal.
I'm certainly up to engaging in discussion and potentially modifying that legislation to make it appropriately fit certain situations.
In June 2021, Allen's office filed felony charges against the Club Q suspect after a threat and a standoff. A judge dismissed the case a year later after the suspect's family refused to testify. And Allen dismissed the idea that the red flag law could have prevented what happened at Club Q.
The case was pending for 383 days under those felony charges. That is longer than an extreme risk protection order provides.
Even so, Doherty wants DAs to have that ability, and he'd extend it to doctors, therapists, and teachers.
We have 28 children and teens killed by gun violence every day in this country. 28. That's the equivalent of a high school classroom being wiped out every day in the United States.
Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
Wants to Know analysis of that data from the time the law took effect back in January of 2020 to the week of the Club Q shooting found that 359 red flag petitions had been filed statewide and 228 of them had been approved. We have much more on this question for you to explore on 9news.com.
The Boulder County Sheriff's Office says it hopes to have a cause for the Marshall Fire by early next year. December 30th will mark 1 year since the fire that destroyed more than 1,000 homes and killed 2 people. Boulder County says it's eliminated several possible causes, followed up on more than 200 tips, and is now reviewing all its findings with the local district attorney's office. The Sheriff's Office says it will release the cause once the investigation and review are done, likely in the new year. We have an in-depth look at those first few hours of the Marshall Fire. Go to marshallfiremap.com. You can look at a map of the area, see what happened minute by minute. You can also find a link to it on the 9 News app. Happening today, there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the first fully rebuilt home after the Marshall Fire. We'll be covering the ceremony.
The federal government is setting aside more than $200 million to fight and prevent wildfires now. Department of Interior leaders announced new funding at a visit to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Wildlife Refuge. That money will help increase pay for federal firefighters and fund more fire prevention projects across the country. It will also help cover costs to take care of areas after fires so that forests have a chance at recovering faster. The U.S. has had more wildfires this year, unfortunately, than each of the last 4 years, and more than 7.4 million acres burned across the country this year alone.
More than 24 organizations are benefiting from the latest round of outdoor equity grants. $1.3 million are going to organizations that reduce barriers to Colorado's outdoors for underserved youth. It also goes towards funding outdoor education programs and conservation opportunities. This month, 27 organizations were selected to receive that grant money. It'll go towards activities ranging from adaptive adventure sports programming to summer camps for youth with incarcerated parents.